brought it up to Patrick if you wanted to be on the Bright Night Chronicles.
Okay. All right. We are up, my friends. So give me 1 second. Let it get off the main page. And we are live. Welcome to the Escape Podcast.
What's going on out there? What's going on out there? We are live, Planet Houston, and couldn't be more happier about it. How you doing, Nick?
I am doing amazing, Adam. Today, we venture out into the unknown. We are rebranding. We are no longer doing the Nick and Adam show. Not that we aren't doing the Nick and Adam show. We're just calling it something else. We are calling it the Escape Podcast. And this is going to be Escape Podcast Episode 1.
Escape Podcast Episode 1, first live stream. And every show from here going forward will be a large block of show, all live streamed. You'll be able to go back and rewatch it. And then throughout the week, Nick and I are going to pick our favorite clips and maybe add some of them in because we're bringing Gary Busey with us. That's we're not leaving him out. He's been our friend since we were in the 9th grade.
Yeah, since we've been teens, we've been big Gary Busey fans. But Adam, let's get to what the Escape means. Why are we calling it the Escape?
Well, because every time I pick up a comic book, and you pick up a comic book, and I'm assuming other people too, or maybe when you go to the movies, the whole genre that we cover in this podcast, we're trying to do, our main goal is to do one thing, and that's leave planet Earth as we know it and go to another world and unplug and just enjoy being with fictional, fantastical characters. What's it mean to you?
I'm gonna go back to my childhood. The first time that I walked into a comic shop and I realized the power of these stupid little books. The funny books of the floppies, the kids call them. But I remember just not being in a great place, and I really needed to escape. I needed to go somewhere else. I think my mom had just passed, and I was like, man, I gotta go somewhere else. I gotta get out of here. And obviously, not to put too much emphasis on how bad it was, but not to say it was like suicide or go somewhere else, but it was death or something else.
Right.
Yep. and that's where I was at. And I'm not going to sit there and say like, oh, comic books saved my life, but man, it gave me some place to go, between the either if it's reading for you, comic books, movies, we all need that escapism in our lives. And so many things in today's media, they're trying to take away our escapes.
Well, they're trying to trying to make commentary and on real life inside these characters. And I think part of the reason that they're doing that is they recognize a group of people that take this stuff so seriously, like these characters are real to them. So maybe, we can influence people that way, and it's crap. I don't like it.
No, it's one of those things. I mean, it's like I said, whether your escapism is books or sports, it's all trying to be taken away. And
right,
you know what? We're not going to let it. We're not going to let them take away your escapism. And that's one of the reasons we call this podcast The Escape, is because we all need that place to go when work's too much for you, or the family's too much for you, or just whatever's too much for you. We want to be someplace where you can go and just escape for a little bit. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here.
That's right. We're not going to take ourselves too seriously, but we'll take this show seriously.
That's right. So, Adam, so we've got the Escape Podcast that we're going to do on a regular basis. We're gonna try and do at least one a week, maybe even more, depending on what's going on in the world. But we also have what's called the Bright Night Chronicles.
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. Those low, vile creatures, Robin. Every man deserves a second chance.
So what we're gonna do is a couple times a week we're gonna take one of the best TV shows ever,
Batman from 1966.
the Batman 66 show, and we're gonna actually do a countdown so you can cue it up with us, and we're gonna talk about the show. We're gonna talk about what's going on in the show, why we love the show, even some of the little tidbits from IMDb or anywhere else that we can find. But we're just going to sit back and enjoy and just commentate on one of the best shows ever and just one of the just most fun shows that's ever been made. So
Yeah, and not for nothing, but I know a little bit about the show. They give you some of the deep cuts, and just little hints there, here and there. But really, you talk about escape. That was my first real escape. As part of my childhood, I had been in comic book stores earlier with my older brothers in life and stuff. But when the '89 Batman movie came out, I remember I was at my grandma's house, and she said, "Batman's on TV tonight," and I was like, "It is," and my eyes got all big. And well, it turns out it was the Adam West Burt Ward Batman movie.
what is this?
Exactly. But you have to remember, though, the late '80s all the way through the '90s, pretty much, that kind of stuff was all we had. There was no Marvel Cinematic Universe. There was no DCEU that they were gonna erase at this point. There was none of that. It was an old Dolph Lundgren movie where he played the Punisher. It was with Louis Gossett Jr. in the movie, and so we didn't have that. We had to get it where we could get it, and so I watched that movie and I watched it over and over and over again, and then eventually I got into the third grade. Eventually,
Finally,
yeah, no, I got into the third. I got to the third grade, and I started third grade. That's what I'm trying to say. And I had seen Batman '89 that summer. I had been introduced to Adam West that summer before, and we got cable in this apartment that we lived in, and there it was, Batman '66. Not just the movie, but actual episodes every day, Monday through Thursday at 5, because on Fridays was Zorro on the Family Channel. And that was a great show, too. I still drive around listening to the theme song now that I have Spotify. So,
yeah, I loved the Batman show. I remember watching Batman at my grandma's in Chicago because every summer up until I was about 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, I went to Chicago every summer to go see my aunt and grandma, or basically my mom said, take him for a little while so I could get away from her for a little bit. But watching WGN, the reruns on WGN at my grandma's, and I just remember going like, this is insane. This is great. I didn't really appreciate like, oh, it's kind of weird, it's kind of campy, and be like, but that was why it was great, or that's why it is great.
Yeah, I understood that right away.
Talk about not taking yourself too seriously and just be like, man, this is gold.
In fact, there were things about that show when I would watch it. The only thing we had, the '89 Batman movie, there were no shows to that.
Yeah.
When I'd watch that, I'd say, man, why didn't he just get a bat phone? Was he trying to save money? And I would
What are you being cheap?
Yeah, so when I'd played Batman, he had a bat phone.
Right.
It was a little darker, that's all.
Right. So that's what we're bringing you. So we're going to be bringing you the Escape podcast, and we're also going to be bringing you the Bright Knight Chronicles. We're trying to, I think we're going to do probably 2 at a time for the Bright Knight Chronicles.
Yeah,
so should be just over an hour.
Yeah, so in 1966 when the show aired, it was, I don't know what specific days. I think it played on Monday and Tuesday, or it played on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, but they'd show one half, and then there was always this cliffhanger where as a child, I was like, damn, I wonder if they're gonna die this time. I'd watch that going, man, is he gonna get eaten by that clan?
That's like my wife and I still be like, do you think they're gonna make it this time for the 15th time we watch this one show? Be like, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. And then so the next night would be same bat time, same bat channel, and you'd play it. So now what we do is we'll watch that. So episode 3, and then we watch episode 4, and then we'll watch episode 5, and then episode 6.
Right. So So let's get into it, Adam. So what are people talking about? And I wanted to bring this up because it's been a trend going on lately, and I don't like it. And that's what's going on with G4. Did you watch G4 much back in the day?
I didn't. No.
I was a big fan. I liked X Play. I liked Attack of the Show. I remember watching Morgan Webb, Adam Sessler, Kevin Pereira, and then Olivia Munn towards the end there, and just really enjoying it. And it's funny because out of the audience for G4 is basically you created a bunch of YouTubers who are doing basically what they were watching on TV, and now they inspired literally a generation of most YouTubers are basically doing what people were doing on G4,
Right.
and then. So what did they do? G4, who's owned by Comcast. Comcast says, hey, let's bring it back and make a YouTube channel. Okay, let's try the nostalgia bait, right? Well, things didn't go quite as planned because you had one of the guests, Frost. She decided to talk about sexism in gaming and went after the fans hard, specifically the male fans. And it's one of those things where, like, okay, go after the guys in gaming, the core of your audience. Right. So let's go after the core of our audience today. And G4 was doing okay. Like I think they had like 500,000 subscribers. They were doing okay. They weren't one of the bigger YouTube channels by any means, but they were trying to. And how do you kill anything? Let's go after our fans. Now, was she 100% wrong? No. But was she 100% right? Definitely not.
I think whatever she did say, maybe she could have said it in a way that you can always say something without insulting people.
Well, I think she was, and I think a lot of people agree. I think she's going for internet clout. Like this was supposed to go viral. And then it did not turn out how they thought it was going to.
Right.
When you talk about the things that she was talking about, guys masturbating to the co-hosts
I saw
and
that
stuff
part.
like that.
Yeah.
As I say in the videos, be like, wow, that's a thing. And
she didn't say masturbate though.
No, but and I understand. Like, I'll use the term. There's toxicity in any fan base out there, and guess what? There's trolls in any fan base out there, but you can't feed the trolls. That's day one of the internet. You can't go on. You think you're going to go into any internet or like gaming forum? You know what's going to get made up first? You and your mother. It doesn't matter how nice or what. You and your mother and every other member of your family are going to get torn apart. You know why? Because some odd reason people think it's fun.
Yeah. I
mean, and so. And especially when you're trying to take over an old franchise, there's always going to be that little bit of, you're not as good as the such original. And such. But you got to build your cred. Like, that just comes along with it.
It's a hard world when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, I never knew, like, my thoughts about the things that I like, comic book stuff and everything, could be just the same thing as people who like video games. I mean, it's right there.
Yeah.
But when I started seeing how much negativity there was on everything, I was like, come on.
There's a reason I don't play video games online. There's a reason.
Yeah, well, mine's a very different reason. I lose.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not very good. I just want to have fun.
And that's it. Yeah, I understand that.
So, and then, I just want to have fun. I don't want to get my mother made fun of. I don't want to get made fun of. I just want to go like, hey guys, let's play some sports ball games and some shooting, but
get the hell out of here, you piece.
But I mean, and that's one of the things I want to get into, because not only are people now going into Frost, her Twitter, and so and that's a whole thing of, hey, if you're voted such and such way, we don't want you as fans. And then Adam Sessler, they went into his Twitter. Guess what? Doesn't like Republicans. Okay, well now you've literally taken 75 million people in this country and said, we don't want you as fans or we don't want you to watch our show. We're not going to do that here. We want everybody.
Yeah, we want you all.
And that's one of the reasons that we call this the escape. I don't, when it comes to politics, you're not going to hear politics here, guys, unless it totally relates to the top unless it directly relates to comics, movies, maybe some video game stuff or toys.
I can give you a strong example of when we will be talking about politicians and stuff like that. I think it was the late 70s. There was an issue of Batman where he kidnapped a senator because he knew the senator was guilty of a crime. And he took him to a hotel room, and everybody was pissed and looking for the Batman. When the senator came out, he confessed to everything. So we're going to talk about senators like that.
Or
only not doing it in real life.
Or
only when Batman does it.
If Lex Luthor gets reelected president.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
So, but that's the thing, Adam. I don't want to talk about politics here. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about comic books.
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I want to have the good old debates of who's a cooler comic book character, who can beat who in a fight, who's got a cooler costume.
Let's do that now. Let's do that now.
Let's do that.
Let's do that right now.
So, speaking of cool costumes, Adam, how do you feel about Peacemaker so far?
Look, I haven't given it a fair chance. I haven't. I saw the first episode, well, part of it, and I was like, it looked like, okay, like the Big Bang Theory. Imagine no other characters except Sheldon, and Sheldon was a murdering nut. And that's how I was like, man, is this guy going to keep up the shtick the whole time? And
Yes, he will.
Yeah, okay. And I was just like,
Yeah, I think we're on episode 4. Yeah, because they released 3 at one time, and they released they're gonna go week episode by episode here. So
Could have done a Bloodsport show. I'd have watched that.
I just want to see a Bloodsport show between him and his daughter, how that relationship works, and at least one episode they discuss each other out.
Oh man, that was so good.
Because that's like, whew. I never did that with my son. So yeah, certain times, yeah, sure, yeah, I'm okay with that. And I'm sure it was reciprocal. I'm sure he'd love to do it to me. So, but yeah, that was so funny. But yeah, I think they've dumbed down Peacemaker down to a level where it's like, I don't know, because you thought like between him and Bloodsport, they were obviously comparable in skills and everything.
Yeah, but he's just a man-child.
Yeah. And that's what they've dumbed him down to, is a man-child, where he's the dumbest. Everybody else on the team is smarter and more well-adjusted. And it's kind of, and they lean really into his sexism, racism, because his dad's racist. And they kind of lean into that, where there's one incident in the restaurant where he calls it the waitress Sweet Cheeks, and they're like, Sweet Cheeks? Like, no, it's a compliment. You're like, can't call her Sweet Cheeks, man. It's just like, no, it's a compliment.
The original story for Peacemaker, his father was a Nazi, and he escaped the trials. And
the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, the Nuremberg trials. And he just abused his son, his whole, life coming up. So have they touched on any of the any of that?
No, he's not a Nazi. It seems like they're gonna go. He's gonna be a KKK member because his because when they go into the dad's workspace, it's this interdimensional, what have you, and they show the Red Dragon outfit of his.
Oh wait, like he's got the red KKK outfit?
It's not a KKK outfit, but it's the name of his character's Red Dragon. Okay. And once he goes, and one of the things is what's his name? Diebeard. That's the thing too. They keep trying to force some of these jokes. I was like, man, they're not freaking funny. Let it go. So like one guy keeps calling him Diebeard because it says he dyes his beard. They set his dad up to go to prison, And so as soon as he goes to prison, like all the Aryan guys all come around and literally start worshiping at his feet. So it's like, oh, he's legit Aryan, and it's no joke. You don't mess with Aryans, but it's okay. It's really that quirky kind of comedy, and like I said, some of those jokes were like, hey man, if that doesn't hit the first time, it's not going to hit the fifth time. So stop. Let that joke go.
Yeah. Does he have a love interest in the show?
Not per se, but basically he wants to sleep with the blonde, hardcore, and that's kind of one of the that one's actually kind of funny where he's like, your tits look great. That's not sexist. That's just me complimenting you.
Jeez.
And that's the shtick of it's that very blunt, like,
right.
That comedy where I'm like, okay, man, like you're just a dull, you're just a thick skulled idiot trying to get by in this modern progressive world. So, and there's a couple things that they're moving on with, because the big thing is what the butterfly initiative or whatever, I forget, but it's so it gets into some pretty interesting, and we're still at the we'll see because I hate to just I hate just abandoning things in the middle of a series, especially the first series. Like, I got to give it at least the first season a shot.
Right. No, I understand. Hey, I stuck with Titan season 3.
I don't think I went back for that one.
But that was all predicated on how much I how much I love season 1 of that show.
Right. Yeah, the first 2 seasons are pretty solid, man. That third one, man, I'm not going to get into it, but man, you can't mess with the Jason Todd story. Like, you can't just the Red Hood story. Like, you got to do it right. You can't rush these stories.
Yeah, you either do that right or you don't do it, and there's nothing wrong with not doing it.
Yeah, it took a whole season, or was it 2 seasons, to get Nightwing right, and then
the very last episode of season 2.
Yeah, and then you freaking do Red Hood in 2 episodes. Stop it. And then there's so many things you ruin by, Bruce Wayne, not Batman. Bruce Wayne walked into Arkham and killed the Joker. Dude, what the hell are you doing?
Do you want to be Robin again?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be Robin again. Yeah, it was. I'm interested in season 4. We'll see how that goes. See what they do with it. Stargirl has renewed for another season, so
that's good. That's one I still haven't watched yet, but I got to give it a shot.
You're gonna enjoy yourself, man. It's wholesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Need some good wholesome stuff in the world.
I mean, Luke Wilson is her stepdad.
Who doesn't love Luke Wilson?
Exactly. Man, she's such a bratty kid. She treats him like crap at first, just like in the comics.
just like stepkids in real life.
Yeah. And then she turns around and she goes, look, Stripesy, you're my sidekick. So you got to do what I say.
All right, Adam, things we're also watching. We are watching Boba Fett.
Or Adventures in Babysitting. And Scream. Again, I watched the first episode of Boba Fett and liked it a lot. I just haven't picked up the other one. Sorry.
Yeah, it's one of the you haven't missed a ton.
Our friend of the show told me to turn in my nerd card.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jim, our Dune guy.
Oof.
He's like, "What kind of sci-fi fan are you?"
Ruthless, like, Jim. Ruthless.
Like, oh yeah.
I like him. So, but really, you haven't missed a lot. I'd love to say, oh yeah, you missed this, you missed that.
I saw you bitching about it on the Instagram.
Yeah, well, hey, when you have these freaking scooters, first of all, never flipping seen scooters in Star Wars in my life. Yeah. They look like something that they stole off the set of was it Spy Kids, or it's like, I think it was Neon who called them, the Power Ranger scooters, where it's like, man, like, I hate who said, yeah, good idea. Let's do scooters. Not speeder bikes.
Yeah, right.
Scooters.
Those are sweet.
You're on a freaking sand planet. You're on a desert planet. You're not going to have things that look nice, like these scooters. Like it's just like, come on.
So it totally clashed with the aesthetic.
Yeah, they're literally, because it's Tatooine. Tatooine's sand. Sand. Sand.
It's
That's
sand
all
here.
it is sand.
Nothing grows here.
Oh, here's a blue, green, red, and yellow scooter. What? Where did that come from? By the way, there's these hipster freaking cybernetic kids. Who the hell are you? So, sorry. That's what they are.
I love it.
And it's like, oh, well, now they're part of Boba's gang. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, let's roll with this one. See how it goes.
Nothing like lots of protection.
Yeah, don't worry. The freaking kid who's got a thing on his eye. No, that's who I want in my gang with Boba Fett.
Right. With Boba Fett.
But at least in the last episode, Boba Fett actually did something Boba Fettish, because I was literally sitting there watching the show I was watching it with my wife, and I was like, can Boba Fett actually do something like some Boba Fett shit, please? Please do some Boba Fett shit. And they finally got, I refuse to call it, was it fire spray or whatever? I'm not calling it that. They went and got Slave One from Bib Fortuna.
Wait, what did you just say?
They're changing the name of Slave One because Slave One is offensive. So now it's like fire spray or something like that. And this is, yeah. And even from our buddy here, Boba Fett, he's like, yeah, no, we're calling it this. For F's sake. Like, come on, guys. Can we at least stick with something? Or no, don't worry, we're being offended even in the Star Wars universe. But, so in the last episode, they did flashback, and they've been going back and forth with flashbacks where he was hanging out with the Tusken Raiders and all that stuff. Well, the Tusken Raiders, he comes back one time, and the whole tribe's dead, and they know who it is because they left the logos, the backward J's or whatever. So they go and get the ship, take the ship, find them in the desert, and just blast the crap out of them. I was like, and I'm sitting there watching. I was like, that's Boba Fett shit. Right. That's what Boba Fett would do. For once.
Yeah, he's I can't wrap my head around the whole, wanting to lead people thing. Is that because, you don't have the headphones on, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm hoping I'm not cutting in and out of you guys when I turn my head. I'm sorry.
I'm watching your levels are good.
Okay. Mandalorian, that's kind of like what I perceived Boba Fett to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's why everybody was like, oh, that's why everybody thought that the Mandalorian that's what the Boba Fett show was supposed to be. And that's what it should have been.
Right.
Because he does more Boba stuff in the first few episodes than he does it so far in this entire series.
You're talking about when Boba Fett shows up in the show.
No, like when you see Mandalorian hunting guys down, cutting dudes in half with a door, people like, oh, snap, Mando's here,
Exactly. I had this feeling when they showed the end credit scene or whatever of the last episode of Mandalorian, and they showed Book of Boba Fett. It was just like, why am I not getting excited? And
because who wants to see Boba Fett on Tatooine? That's the other thing. Because that's one of the stupid things is, so they've got, he takes over, Jabba's palace. So he got these other Hutts who come back and trying to make a claim. Well, they make a deal, whatever. They even go, dude, it's Tatooine. We don't care about this. I was like, that's exactly the point. You're not supposed to care about Tatooine. You know why? It's a desert rock. No one cares about Tatooine.
What do they harvest? Their water?
Just so he can get by, not so he can live fanciful.
So Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were harvesting water?
Yeah.
Did we know that?
They're moisture farmers.
Did we know that in the show?
Yeah.
Or back in the day?
Yep.
I didn't get that. Moisture evaporators?
Yeah.
Well, that went straight over my head for 40 years almost.
But yeah, I mean, there's a reason like they sent Luke to Tatooine. I mean, he had family there, but also no one cares. You're not supposed to care about Tatooine.
Right.
You're supposed to care about like Coruscant and all these other cool places that are in the world or in the galaxy, far, far away.
Far, far away. Yeah, maybe they're too far.
These places are too far.
Shit. Tell me about it. That's why I like Solo. That's a good movie. Had fun with it.
Hey, you know what? And people will say, "Oh, Solo lost money." You know what? I enjoyed my movie going experience when I went and saw Solo.
Yeah.
Do I sit there and watch it on a regular basis? No, I don't. Do I think it set up a couple kind of cool things? Yeah, that I would have liked to have seen, played out a little bit. Sure. Anytime you can get Darth Maul back in like the real universe, not just the animated universe, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Solo. It's certainly not the worst thing Disney's produced.
No, I would say Fantasia is.
Oh no. Shots fired.
I'm sorry, Disney fans. I apologize.
Oh, but
you can rip on the Killing Joke if you'd like.
Yeah. But yeah, so Boba, it's okay, but he finally gets done with, and that's one of the things too is like he has to keep going back to the tank to keep healing. Well, now he's fully healed. Now, what I'm really hoping that means is he's going to do some more freaking Boba stuff.
Whoa, wait a minute. What's he got to go heal from?
Because he was in the Sarlacc pit for God knows how long.
Is this in the flashbacks, or is this why he's being the gangster?
No, every single episode he's got to go back in the tank
as a gangster.
Yeah.
Okay, but
because that's how they do the flashbacks. They show him in the back of the tank, and then that's when they do flashbacks.
Okay, but he was just hanging out with Mandalorian, and Fennec Shan. He helped her fix her guts, and all that stuff. So
yeah, and that's what happened in the last episode too. They show that where he takes it to one of the cyberpunk dudes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, did this book of Boba Fett happen before the Mandalorian?
No, they run parallel.
Okay, so he's with the Mandalorian, and now he's the gangster.
No, so it's just afterwards. But the last episode they flash back to where he finds Ming-Na's character, Fennec's character.
Okay.
So it's off just a little bit, but it's the same, essentially the same time period.
Okay. I'll have to watch it too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have I'm sure there's a timeline out there somewhere, but it's
right.
I know they're close.
Readjust here. Take a look at that.
So, are you happy?
Are we good?
Yeah. All right. Might have to adjust the mic a little bit, but so yeah, it's. I want to say it's getting better, but even you had an article coming out where even the actor who plays Boba came out and said, "Yeah, I talked way too much." Everybody's like, "Yep."
Yeah.
And he goes, and I guess he kept trying to pass lines off to Ming-Na. I mean, he's like, no, you do your own lines. But yeah, he's trying to keep himself looking, being mysterious and everything. And, it'd be like, well, we'll talk to Jon Favreau. John's like, say the lines. Shut up and say the lines.
Okay, I'll give it a chance. Before I dive into Peacemaker.
Yeah. Both they're okay. They're okay. So, but all right, Adam, let's talk about. You want to talk about DC Comics, or you want to talk about the Batman?
Let's save the Batman for last.
All right. So, DC Comics. Adam, is DC Comics in trouble?
Likely so. So when COVID hit and everything shut down, DC Comics made a deal to get their comic books out before Diamond went back up. the president and CEO on Batman Beyond while the first round of the pandemic was going on, and so now DC Comics is like distributed. I don't know, UPS and all this other stuff or whatever it is, and I can't say UPS, but
Not Diamond, who's been literally like the standard for producing comics for literally the last few decades.
there was no one else.
Yeah.
There literally was no one else.
Which might be part of the problem too. But
Right.
anyway,
But now you got, I know of at least one local comic book shop, you know, in my tri-county area, like just into the next county, that will not carry DC comic books anymore, because of it's like expensive for them to get them from that distributor. They'll carry back issues and they'll buy collections, but they're not going to carry new
Right,
stuff. You'll
new
never
books.
find it. And I think there's a lot of local comic book shops, even if it's a small percentage. There's probably a lot of them accumulated throughout the country, and who knows about Canada too. So I think that's hurting them. I think
And also I heard some comics when they were showing up pre-damaged. And that
I didn't
and
hear
so
about that.
they would lose entire batches of comics because I mean no one, not everybody's looking to make an investment. So, but I don't want to buy damaged books.
No, not that at all. I'll buy a messed up package, because I
Right.
'cause I open up the figures. But hey, buddy, you know, I don't want a damaged book. I don't even want like a wrinkle in it.
No, you want a nice new book.
Right.
So, but also, I know certain people are starting to call DC Comics dead comics or dying comics. I know Eric July. I know some. I think Yellow Flash, great YouTubers that cover comics, is starting to say that because, I think out of the top 15 selling DC books, guess what they all have in common?
Cash cow.
They're all Batman books, man. They are literally, there's not a Superman, not a Wonder Woman, not a Green Lantern. There's about 15 to 20 Batman related books that are the top sellers.
Well, look at all the DC properties that are coming out. They're all Batman related.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just change the D to a B, call it Batman Comics, and call it a day.
You know what DC means?
Detective Comics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. My leg is gonna fall off.
Okay.
It is screaming.
All right.
All right. I gotta figure something out.
Do what you got to do. So, yeah. So,
Will
DC.
this reach me? Will this reach?
Yeah. So, that's one of the things that's going on is, and that's with, mind you, manga absolutely destroying Western comics.
How's this look?
Move it a little bit farther away. Till down. There you go.
Good?
Good enough.
All right. Sorry about that, folks. The way I was twisting this here left leg, I'm sitting here going,
Oh.
So yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
So, and that's just one. I think a lot of people are even saying that Western comics are dying because, let's be honest, they don't have the latest generation who are buying books. They're not buying comic books. They're buying manga.
They're buying.
Manga.
Oh, manga. Well,
Because why would they buy books that aren't interesting when you've got literally an entire catalog of books that people like better?
I think that one day we're gonna get into the all digital. I think it's gonna be like records. We're gonna get into like the all digital, and then we're gonna get into like mostly graphic novel, and then I think like certain issues will be printed that'll be like special editions.
I agree, but also, man, you know what? There's nothing like having a bag full of books.
Oh, I
Walking
know.
out of a comic book store with a
Like a
bag full
big
of books,
Like thick like that, you're walking out and you're like, yeah,
and you're just giddy,
and you
just giddy with books. But
and you're gonna escape for the night.
and next might be night. It might be hours. It might be days. But that's what is magical about these stupid little books is it's a little world that you can go dive inside and lose yourself for as long as you really want to.
No, you're totally right. But you know, I just it the who is there to teach these kids to get into these superheroes? You know what I mean?
Well, and with you, I mean, you have uh, between the combination of anime and manga, it's far more popular. You have kids getting into Korean things. There's K-pop, and there's you know, remember going when we were in high school, and we had the underclassmen, the freshmen and junior or freshmen and sophomores coming in while we were juniors and seniors, run around going Pikachu and Pokemon. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
But Pikachu, Pikachu. I'm like, what are you saying? Squirtle. What?
Squirtle.
I was like, what the hell are you saying?
Yeah.
And like, I had no idea. Like, I missed that boat somehow. And it was just like, what the hell is this? And then, because that was always the thing, especially like in art classes in school, like, oh, manga. And I was like, that's not art. It's like a formula. It's formulaic art. And that was always my turn off to manga, where, it wasn't the stories. It was mainly the art. And that's one of the reasons I still love, Western comic books. And while I'll still always love Western comic books over mangas, strictly just based off art.
Marvel's been in this seat before. Marvel's been in this seat where they're dying, going into bankruptcy, all that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe it'd be good for DC. Look, you just told some really incredible stories in the last 20 years, I mean, seriously. And do I think DC will be gone forever? No, I don't. I think they'll survive this.
No, because as long as you've got Batman and Superman in your back pocket, you'll always have something. But and that's another thing that, getting into is like, why is it DC's best idea, like when they're doing something, is like, hey, let's kill off a character.
Well, because of the death of Superman.
Well, that's it. You got nothing else. Can you not write a better story than like, hey, we haven't done in a while? Let's kill a guy. Let's kill one of our main guys, and then we'll bring him back again. Like, okay, we've done this for this is, the trick pony.
Right.
It's getting to the same thing as, hey, let's turn, Jonathan Kent gay and have him date a trans kid. Okay, well that'll bump sales for 2 issues. And then after that, no one cares, because if you don't have good writers and good artists telling these stories, what the hell's the point?
I agree. I agree 100%. I just think that I think eventually they're gonna have to take it all back to, like Norman Osborn, back to formula. I think they're gonna just have to do that. I think they need a Batman and Robin comic where the Robin is Dick Grayson, and I think they need to do something where, like, oh man, I love the New 52 Superman, because he liked Lois, but they were nowhere near together. They were just kind of friends. It was all a fresh start, but they decided we're gonna stay with that.
Well, and one of the things that I hate to do, but I gotta go after my guy Jim Lee, who's the head of DC, and this has all happened underneath his watch.
Likely he's a figurehead.
Well, and that's it. I was like, if you're just gonna sit there and collect paychecks, hey, that's cool, but at the same time, you're gonna be known as the guy at the top when things went wrong.
And that's a shame too, because Jim Lee accredits comic books to teaching him better English.
Oh yeah,
he did. He said comic books helped me speak better English. He said they helped me speak like, a normal person, instead of saying I cannot go here.
Right.
I must go this way. The proper English. The guy speaks great English.
No, we've met him.
Yes, we have.
The only time I've ever been freaking starstruck in my life.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a shame, because, like I said, he's literally a living legend in the industry, and I think at the end of the day, he's gonna catch blame for the decline of DC. I mean, especially when you have, part of the Wildstorm. He brought over the Wildstorm, so he tried to bring in some of his characters that he created, but certain times I just don't think they fit. You got to tilt down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. How's that?
There you go.
I hate to say it because there's some shady stuff that happened with Zack Snyder, because of him. But maybe Jeff Johns needs to be in charge.
Well, that's because I know what Daniel Cherry III. He just walked away, and um, he's going to get a bunch of blame for things, but you know, depending on who you talk to, he's a guy that enjoyed comic books, but just couldn't get the job done for some odd reason. And I don't want to say, oh, it's whatever, whoever you want to blame, but whoever's in charge right now, you're not getting it done. You are not doing compelling stories that people want, even though you're changing, race changing, gender changing, gender bending characters. No one cares about that.
No, nobody does.
People want better stories. People want good art. People want fun books. People want to go to the comic book store and buy a big fat stack of comics and take them home and have a lot of fun.
I'll tell you a cool storyline where they could do a little bit, and I say a little bit more of something like this. In the Dark Knight's Metal, you've seen the Drowned character, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's actually Bryce Wayne. And it was just another universe where the Waynes had a daughter. That's all.
No,
It just wasn't like, Bruce got a sex change.
Right.
Or anything like that. It was just, we had a daughter.
Yeah.
And she reacted to their death the exact same way.
Yeah, it sucks because there's DC books that I'm currently reading or really looking forward to. Really getting into the Swamp Thing, Green Hell. I'm very excited about that. It led me even down a rabbit hole of Swamp Thing stuff, and I'm just like, absolutely loving it. But I've also never been a Batman guy. I've never been a Superman guy. The closest I ever got was to reading Nightwing.
Great comic.
No, it's great. That was a great book. But I've always just been, oh, if it's popular, I don't want it. But that's just me. I'm an idiot. But
I wouldn't say you're an idiot. You go against the grain.
Well, yeah, I just if it's popular, I'm probably gonna be like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go try a little something else. So yeah, if we can get that put back, then. But so yeah, comic books not in a great place right now, and unfortunately, it's gonna force me to go to manga. I don't want to, but if you want, good stories, you're gonna have to. You gotta. I at least got to give it a try, for some of the things.
How's the shot?
Good. I mean, it's up your nose a little bit. It's fine.
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Up your nose. But I mean, literally, like Demon Slayer, literally outsells every single Western book right now. So there's got to be something to it.
Have you checked out We Have Demons?
I have not, but that's on my list for sure.
The Scott Snyder.
Scott
Capullo. Yeah, mine too.
No, and that's the stuff. If you really want good stuff, you're probably gonna have to go outside the big two, and because like you've got a lot of the stuff that's being crowdfunded. It's the most interesting stuff as far as Western goes,
right?
Western comics. So, and then you've also got your Todd McFarlane over at Image, and you got some of the old standbys that are still holding firm. You still have Mark Silvestri over at Top Cow, still producing his stuff. Witchblade Witchblade's Top Cow still, but I don't know. I'm so far out of the loop because I just saw a post about the new Witchblade comic, but yeah, Mark Silvestri's still holding strong over there. But I haven't read a Top Cow comic in decades at this point. So
You still have any of your old darkness?
in those boxes
Yeah, boy.
and Witchblade. So
Yeah, buddy.
yeah, those are I love those books. So all right, so let's talk about the Batman.
3 hours.
Three bleeping hours.
Yeah.
You better pack a lunch and maybe a diaper because you're gonna have to be there for a while. And we're gonna talk about it, Adam. You're excited because it's more Batman.
Well, yes, but you brought up an interesting point last night. Not an interesting point, a very good point. If it's 3 hours of shit,
Yeah, if it's a bloated 3 hours, I don't want it. But if it's a 3 hours that's really gonna that you spend 3 hours really, really setting up stuff, for the next two films, awesome. Make it 4 hours. I don't care.
I didn't watch the whole trilogy, but I saw a couple of the Apes movies that he made. Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
They weren't bloated movies. I mean,
No. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. Not my favorite, but I know the first couple we enjoyed. But after a while, I'm like, okay, it's still just monkeys. but they were good movies.
But at the end of the day, exactly, they were good movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I trust this guy. Do I have a couple doubts? Yeah.
Have to.
Have to.
Unfortunately, have to at this point in the game with everything going on. If you don't have doubts going on through your mind, you haven't been paying attention.
Well, I don't have doubts in Pattinson.
Right.
And I don't have doubts in Matt Reeves. I do have doubts in what this script might be trying to execute.
Right.
And we really don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't know what this movie's about at all.
Yeah, if they're gonna go the whole route of forcing, Batman and Catwoman into this relationship and forcing stuff like that, I don't care about that. I really don't. If they're gonna go down the route of, they're gonna get married and this is the type of relationship, blah 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 blah, blah, I don't care. You can have it. I don't want
Tom King do that shit.
Yeah. But if you're gonna talk about, an year or two angry Batman, still angry, still pissed off, still not quite the greatest detective yet.
Yeah, he's not the world's greatest detective.
Still learning, but still, I'm very intrigued by that, and still learning about Gotham itself.
Yes, that's what I'm willing to sit through a 3-hour movie for. That's what I think. That's what I think we're getting.
I hope that's what we're getting, because it's already, January's already wrapping up. We're only a month and a half away from this. So
yes, sir. Next week will be a month.
Yeah, and I think we decided we're gonna ditch work. You heard it here first. We're gonna ditch work. We're gonna go check it out, and as soon as we go watch it, we're gonna come on here. We're gonna do a podcast about it. So
yeah, right away. I'm gonna see it 3 times in the same day. I'm gonna see it once the night before. I'm gonna see it twice that day. One of those times will be with you, or we can see it twice in the same day. We got to see it 2 times before we can do initial reactions,
right?
Real quick,
and then the in-depth look,
and then the in-depth look. Yeah, can't believe it's a fucking Batman movie.
Yeah,
so
I was saying, oh my gosh, can't wait. But yeah, that's the next one on the docket there. So and then oh yeah, because they pushed Morbius to April. So
yeah, Morbius, and then all right. So deserved or undeserved hate for the Batgirl costume?
That's another thing, man. Because I know a lot of people are just destroying that costume, and I'm like, and they're like, cosplayers could do it. But I was like, there's some damn talented cosplayers, but okay, one, not like I've never read a Batgirl comic. The only thing I've really read with her was the 3 Jokers, and obviously not that comic. But at the same time, golly, the hate for that freaking costume is
ridiculous.
It's borderline ridiculous. And this is the thing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do a show like this because I see so many people going after stuff. I was like, then what the hell do you want?
Right. I don't understand. what you want.
I think it's incredibly lazy take to sit there and say, oh, it's garbage, it's terrible, it's blah blah blah. What do you want? What do you want to be? Do you want to be latex? Do you want nipples? Like, what do you want?
Right.
You know,
Right.
do you want Alicia Silverstone? Do you want, what? You know,
Tell me what you want.
Tell me what you want, because they're like, oh, it's leather and it looks like that. It's like, yeah, because she rides a motorcycle.
I was just gonna say, yeah, she rides a motorcycle.
You know, it's like, and they also said that's not the only costume she's going to have in it.
Now, did they confirm that?
I believe so, because that's one of the things is the first costume is homemade. She made it herself. You know, so I'm not going to sit there. I thought it looked good. I thought it looked okay. I'm not going to say it's the best Batgirl costume that's ever been, because
It's got a lot of callbacks to Yvonne Craig.
yeah. But I was just like I said, not a Batgirl expert, but I don't know what the hell people want when it comes to costumes sometimes.
I don't either.
Because it looks like one of those things where it looks functional. It looks like a functional costume.
Michael Keaton couldn't turn his fucking head.
There's yes. Well, it wasn't until Christian Bale where they could turn their heads.
And Christian Bale couldn't turn his head in the whole first movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just certain points. It's like, Jesus, what do people want from some of these things? And Leslie Grace, who's playing Batgirl, I think she looks great. She's got that nice statuesque, body that looks great in it. And that's the other thing because she's clearly, I don't know what her race mix is, but she's clearly mixed. But and you're like, well, now Jim Gordon has to go have a relationship with. I'm like,
that's been going on for years. People, wake up.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, holy moly, like, and typically, and this is how I'm always. Can we wait till the damn thing comes out and then we can hammer it? If that's the best look they've got, okay, fine. Then let's hammer it. But let's let the damn thing come out.
I mean, I wouldn't even have changed it. Yeah, I took one look at it. I was like, oh, they went for that no updated DC Rebirth look.
Yeah.
I went, okay, cool.
I was just, and so many guys that I watch on YouTube, they were just freaking hammering. I'm just like, holy moly, man! Like what? And I know it's really difficult to please comic book fans because that's what we talk about. We sit there and nitpick, the costumes and all that. That's the first thing that we go after. But I saw that one, I'm like, it looks pretty good.
My first impression of it too. I went to her Instagram and I looked at it again.
Well, that's the first place I saw it.
Yeah, just to make sure I wasn't wrong, and I wasn't. It was good.
Yeah. So, but and because that's supposed to be HBO Max. When's that supposed to come out? I mean, that's just in production. That's just start production.
Yeah, it's probably next year.
But
I think we got the Flash at Christmas.
Yeah, if you don't like the costume, that's fine, but you got to tell me why, and don't say cosplayers can do it better. Don't do that cop out because there's some hella cosplayers out there. Hi, Cypress.
No, I'm just sick of the hate in this community. You know what I mean? Like, aren't you? What did you come here for? To take out your aggressions?
Well,
aren't we here for fun?
And that's what I've always said about like Star Wars. The best thing about Star Wars, the fans.
Yeah.
The worst thing about Star Wars,
fans.
The fans. You're like, the best thing about comic books, the fans. The worst thing,
the fans.
The fans.
The fans.
So, yeah, I saw it. I'm like, maybe in my old age, I go, not so bad. And she's beautiful. God forbid. and she looks great in it. I'm just like, but at the end of it, I'm like, maybe my tastes have changed. I don't know. Maybe my old age. Then again, I was never. I never knew why people enjoyed hating things so damn much. I never got it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. These cats never saw Batman and Robin, I guess.
So check out the Bright Knight Chronicles.
Yeah. I mean, that movie with Clooney, and Clooney goes around taking the blame. Like, it's not your fault, dude. I'd put him in a Batman suit any day. I would.
No, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, you got to bring a little something extra for Batman. You know, he plays the same character in Ocean's 11.
Hey, Breeze.
Hey,
I'm Batman.
yeah, it's like, hey, let's rob this
Breeze.
casino.
That's why they got away with it, dude. He's got Bruce Wayne mind.
Right.
But yeah. Alec Baldwin was a big pick up. If you remember, I was like, Alec Baldwin should play Batman.
Yeah.
And then Wizard picked him.
Yeah. I'd say that was back in the 90s when he was. Well, that was like right October. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah. He did The Shadow.
I love The Shadow. I love that movie.
Heck yeah.
That's one other thing. Talk about. So the Inside of You. Did you get a chance to see any of that? The Jensen Ackles.
I just watched the beginning of it. I haven't had time to queue it back up.
So if you enjoy a good podcast where they talk to stars and it's very laid back, man, Inside of You is a great podcast. With Michael Rosenbaum. Adam turned me on to it. It's just really enjoyable. It's really laid back. They were even talking to the guy who plays Shazam.
Shazam. I listened to that whole one. Zachary Levi.
Yeah, Zachary. That was a heck of a podcast.
Zachary Levi.
Talking about his new movie where he plays Kurt Warner, and he gets into faith and gets into everything. I was like, holy moly!
Talks about mental health.
Yeah, it's a great podcast, and you know what? There ain't no hate there. That's one of the reasons I like it.
There's no hate in that podcast at all. Just level-headed people talking.
But yeah, I was watching the one with Jensen Ackles that was just put out last week, and it's kind of funny and kind of weird because he talks about a couple things. He talks about one, there was a big to do with him and Jared Padalecki where there was like this big falling out, right? Because of was it the new Texas Ranger show or whatever the no, it was the prequel show for the Supernatural that was getting made, and Jared was like, I heard nothing about it, blah 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 blah. Where he's like, well, he gets into, he's like, well, it's kind of an unwritten rule with actors. You don't talk about roles that you're up for. You talk about roles that you get. It's almost unlucky to and it's funny they go back and forth. Where Michael Rosenbaum thinks his mom still thinks he's going to be in Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
But so he gets into that talk. Discusses that. Talks about his role coming up in season 3 of The Boys, and at the very end, it's kind of a little bit weird, a little bit creepy because he starts talking about, I'm going to start doing this movie with Alec Baldwin, this Western, it doesn't have a title yet, and it ends up being Rust. And, I think everybody knows what happened there, but it's kind of like, weird. That's so weird because he was, he's very excited. He gets to work with Alec Baldwin and blah, 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 blah. And then that happened.
Yeah, that was a horrible tragedy. That was like one of our first shows. That was our first show.
That was one of our first shows, and that's going to be that's really going to be a watershed moment in Hollywood, because you're very rarely are you going to see live action firearms in movies going forward.
And I don't think you need to, not with special effects.
Nope. I mean, there's always the people that are screaming practical effects, whatever.
I'm one of them, but that's
certain things you just gotta let go.
Please don't load a gun and point it at me.
Not a gun guy, but I know that's rule number 1.
Well, right. I mean, whether it's supposed to be blanks, I don't know you. I don't trust you. You know what I mean? I don't care who it's gone through or what. Look, man, quality control isn't always what it should be.
Well, quality control is a subjective term there.
Absolutely. There's problems with quality control in some of the figures that we buy.
Speaking of which, I got a figure, and there's been a lot of posts with this one coming up with Broken. So we're gonna have you opened it?
Yeah.
Did you check it out?
Oh, I got it all set up. People complained about the arms broken, but I never used the arms. Ladies and gentlemen, of all ages, Nick is opening up. That's right. Batman Year 2 Designer Edition McFarlane Toys.
This is literally like this should be like toy of the decade.
No doubt.
Holy Jesus. That's a freaking That is a freaking cape there, man. Holy moly. So bad at doing this. But yeah, so this is year 2 Batman McFarlane figure.
What do you think of it?
It's gorgeous, man. It's even got the shading painted onto the cape to give it that extra little depth and everything. So comes with the cross and cemetery scene.
Yeah, they got Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon.
Oh, do they on the tombstones?
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, if you want, well, you gotta be. You don't have to. You don't have to put his. You only use the pegs. I figured this out the hard way. You only use the pegs if you're going to use the soft goods cape.
Ah.
If you're doing the hard cape, there's a stand that goes together, and there's a long piece that slides into one socket of the cape, and then it creates like this whole sort of a thing.
Right.
And that's how you stand him up. He just stands up. I mean, his feet could be pointing any old way. Doesn't matter. You're not going to use his feet for that. So, and you remember the action figure that when we saw each other at Comic-Con, right? That I got.
Yeah.
It was a blue and gray
Yep.
variant. If I were you, I'd get your hands on that instead of using those arms, and that way you can, unless you want two of them. That way.
If I happen to come across them.
Right. I've got my soft cape on him. I took the other one off.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's yeah, that's pretty much toy of the freaking decade.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So very excited. Can't wait to get that displayed so you can see. I'm working on my displaying a little bit so you can see my Swamp Thing over my shoulder there, and plus some of my other guys. So I have to make an extra special spot for that. So I do have a bat cave that's in the process of being built. So
it looks sweet. It looks sweet. We got the exact same toy, but I like what you did with it.
Yeah, so I'll get some pictures of that once it's up and hopefully functional. So
yeah.
But Adam, let's get into what we're so we did what we're watching pretty much.
Yeah, we did that at the beginning.
Okay. There is a couple things that we just got done watching on Netflix. Was Archive 81. Have you seen that?
I have not.
No, that one's pretty good. It's a really weird, trippy show. I'm not going to even try and explain what happens in it because it's just one of those weird. It's really trippy and really weird. But if you like a trippy and weird show that is not of the norm, go check that one out because that was different.
Okay. I saw Scream, the new one, and it didn't disappoint.
Hey,
it did not disappoint. I give it an A.
Nice.
Because come on, what do you want? Like the uniform. What do you want?
What do you want?
It's Scream.
What do you want?
Like you just don't want it to be terrible and stupid.
Right.
And at the same time, you kind of want it to have that levity that the original had, and it had it. It was really good.
Good.
It was really good. Was I surprised when I found out who the killer was?
Hopefully.
Yeah, it was. Because I thought it was going to be someone else. So, but yeah, I had fun with it. Anybody want any spoilers?
3, 2, 1. Spoilers.
Dewey died.
Dude. Oh.
I know. I was like, no, you can stab him a million times. He's always okay.
Yeah, he just gets nerve damage.
Yeah. They talked about that too. I got back problems and severed nerves and neuropathy. So yeah. Oh, and there was I noticed it right away. Like I don't know if anybody else did, but Dewey's kind of an alcoholic, and when they come into his trailer for the first time, the camera comes in and it pans right past Rose McGowan, Tatum.
Yep.
Right past
Is she in it?
her ash. No, her ashes. Remember, she was killed in the first one.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
She was his sister. She was Dewey's sister.
Right.
And he's got her ashes. And it says Tatum on the box. So I was like, oh, I kind of got choked up. I was like, oh.
Yeah, they brought it all full circle.
Yeah, that was like my least favorite kill is when they killed Tatum. I like Tatum.
Yeah. All right, Adam, let's get into what we're reading. What are you reading? Anything good?
No. I I've been watching instead of reading, I've been watching. So, what can I tell you? I was dedicating some hours last weekend to finishing The White Knight.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish The White Knight. I've made my decision. So
We believe in you.
Yeah, I can do this, right? So I'm going to be doing that a couple times this week. And then I'm going to come back with a full review for it.
Nice.
You know?
My books are over there. Can you hand me those, please? Scorch and the
Oh.
ones.
These ones? The ones you gave me?
Yeah.
From the actual cartoon. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, I picked that up at the Motor City Comic Con from a very nice couple, and I got some other stuff from them. But yeah, it's fun. I love it. I love animation stuff. I love art stuff.
You and me both. All right. Keep that safe.
All right, I did come prepared. I just didn't have them in a place I could easily grab. So, what I am looking forward to reading, I haven't read it, but it's on the top of the list, is Scorched #1.
Yeah, baby.
With this is McFarlane's first venture into team comics, because all his characters before have been single characters. So, and there's like 17 covers or something. So I picked up like 2 or 3. I just grabbed a couple different ones. But you want one of these?
Sure.
Yeah. So pick one. All right. So some of the other stuff. What I'm currently reading, though, I told you I was on a Swamp Thing binge. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, book 1, Saga of the Swamp Thing. Holy moly, so good. There are 6 of these bad boys. I'm almost done with chapter book 1. If you have not read Swamp Thing, okay. If you have any interest in Swamp Thing, 1, go pick up the latest issue or the first issue of Green Hell if you can find it. It's kind of a little bit not easy to find right now. Or if you want some deep dive, go check this out. This is freaking great.
Anytime you can read any Alan Moore comics, it's so good. It's a treat. It really is.
And then next on the docket is Swamp Thing Becoming, trade paperback. So it's by Ram V, Mike Perkins, and Mike Spicer. So, so what they've done with Swamp Thing since I think we were collecting, man, he's a freaking beast.
He is.
You just thought he was a weird, goofy character, but holy moly, he's a freaking absolute animal.
By the time, like when we were collecting as teenagers, he had like a cult following.
Yeah,
that, you know what I
very
mean?
very cult figure.
Yeah, and that was because of what Alan Moore did with him. The fight between him and Batman is
Yeah, I got to find when that is because I haven't run into it yet. But oh, I'm enjoying it so much. It's great.
Just the words they have when they're done fighting. It's so good.
So, and then I picked this up from Boom Publishing. So, if you are a Firefly fan, this is the Unification War Part One. If you're a Brown Coat at all, it's actually written by Joss Whedon, so it's still canon. I haven't got a chance to read it, but I've read some other Firefly comics. It's a lot of fun. If you're if you enjoy being part of that world, because I'll tell you what, it's a fun world. Firefly. That's a fun freaking world.
Would you like to hear me sing?
Please do.
Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me. Take me out to the black. Tell my ma ain't coming back. I don't remember the rest.
That's fine. You know what? That's a good place to end it, I think, right there. Because I don't know where to go, but you know what? That's a great world. I love Firefly.
Firefly's awesome.
It's a great show. And I know Joss Whedon is not the most popular character right now, but the man can write. So
yeah, he can write.
He can write, and he can write an article where he looks like a moron. But anyway,
I was going to say, I wish he'd write a character that apologizes for his actions, and then he goes out and acts like that character.
Right. Yeah, I was like, could you, you're a fine writer, but if you could act like that character that you write, that would be great, and probably save yourself a whole lot of headaches in the future.
I think the problem is he's not a lazy writer. See, I would have written, if there was any misunderstanding, I didn't mean to say what I meant to say, gal, but I apologize.
Right.
If it came across one way or another, and I accept full responsibility.
Right.
I didn't.
I'm an a-hole. Let's just leave it at that. But
yeah.
But we're not going to leave it at that. But guys, we thank you so much for all the support you guys have given us, and I hope you come back for another episode of The Escape, and hope you enjoy escaping with us into the things that we enjoy, and hopefully some of the things that you guys enjoy. And if you guys want to hear us talk about some of the things that you guys enjoy, please let us know in the comment section. We are also on Instagram, Facebook. We are not on Twitter because Twitter is a nasty, terrible place.
Coming soon, I'm working on finding us a home for the audio version of the show. So.
Yep. And also, we will, one of the reasons that we changed things up and we have the podcast, the Escape Podcast, is hopefully we'll have some merch for you guys. So if you guys enjoy the show, want to support the show, you guys can do it in t-shirt or maybe a hat.
Coffee mug?
Maybe a coffee mug. I love coffee. I just broke 2 coffee mugs this week. I need new coffee mugs.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
The Escape with our faces
on. I'm not putting my face on a coffee mug.
A character version. A character. You get pictures of us. You get our football pictures on them.
Oh, geez. No, that's even worse. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Nick.
And I'm Adam.
And thank you for escaping with us.
That's right. And cue the music. We're gonna get some new music.